Okay, so today we're going to talk about equations of circles. Your test is next Wednesday. Monday we're doing something called completing the square, and that's really an Algebra 2 thing. It will be on your test, but just as a bonus. But you'll see it in Algebra 2, so that's why I want to cover it, and it's called completing the square. But today is equations of circles. So the equation of a circle, it looks pretty scary, but I promise today's is so much easier than all the circle stuff we've done so far. So this right here is the equation of a circle, and you will do this in Algebra 2 next year, actually, except you'll also have equations of parabolas and hyperbolas and some other things too. But equations of circles, the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. R is just the radius, h and k is the center point, x and y is just a point on the circle. So h and k is the center point. So this is how it works. Let me just show you. So it says write an equation of a circle with center 2 and 3. Remember, center is h and k and radius 4. So the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So all you do is plug in. So let's look at it. So I'll have x minus, what's h? 2 squared plus y minus, what's k? 3 squared equals r squared. What is 4 squared? What's 4 squared? 16. That is your answer. But I want you to notice something. Do you see how 2 and 3 are positive up here?
Yeah.
Do you see how they look negative in the equation?
Yeah.
It's always going to look opposite.
Yeah.
Because like if my center was negative 2, negative 3, when I would plug it in, I would have x minus a negative, which what happens? What happens? It'd be plus. So it's always going to look backwards. It's going to look opposite always. Let's try a couple more. So the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. This is h and k, so I would write x minus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals, what is 9 squared? 81. 9 squared, 9 times 9, 81. If the center is at the origin, do you guys know that the origin is 0, 0?
Yeah.
So if I were to write it out, I would have x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 6 squared, which is 36. But did you know if you just subtract 0, like x minus 0 is really just x, right? So in the big ideas, it'll look like this. X squared plus y squared equals 36. So it just won't have the minus 0. So that means it's just in the origin, 0, 0. Okay, so remember how I told you that it will always look backward. So what if you have an equation? We need to figure out the center and the radius. So on this one, I've got an equation. So remember, I have h and k, but it's always going to look opposite. So if this is negative 5, what's my h going to be? Positive 5. If this is positive 2, what's my k going to be? Negative 2. This is r squared. So r squared is 9. What is the square root? What would the radius be?
3.
3. So when you have some on big ideas that you have to graph, you'll have to graph that center point. So this is 5 comma negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 2. You graph your center point. And then on big ideas, you're just going to count over one direction. Like you could do it to the right over 3 because the radius is 3. 1, 2, 3. And you'll see that it'll like create that circle there for you. It'll just create the circle with a radius of 3. So each distance would be 3. So basically you'll plot a point at the center, which I'll show you how to do it. Count over 3 and it'll automatically draw that circle. Okay, let's just try a couple more and then we'll look at the assignment. So on this one, what would my center be? If it looks like -4, what is it? 4, comma, -7. My radius squared is 16, so what would the square root, what would the radius be? 4. Is this easier than some of the other circle stuff we've done? Yeah. Okay, what would my center be here? -8, comma, 5. The r squared is 7. You can't really take the square root of 7, so the radius would just be radical 7. And then this one, what would my center be if it just says x squared plus y squared?
0,
0, 0, good. And radius squared is 25, so what would the radius be?
5.
5, okay. All right, so you guys do you have the big ideas pulled up? So unlike this first one, I have to figure out where my center, where in the world is the center? Does it look like it's right here?
Yeah.
So it's definitely not at 0, 0, so it can't be those two. So it looks like this is numbered by 3s, can you tell? It goes -3, -6. You guys see that? So this would be -3, comma, -3. So it's what's it gonna look like in the equation? Positive. So it's gotta be one of these two right here. One of these two. So my radius has a length of 3, 6, 9, because these are numbered by 3s. So if my radius is 9, what would my radius squared be?
81.
81. So it is that one. Yes. It is that one. And you can check them, remember, on big ideas. You have some questions that are kind of review, like number 3. Look at number 4. So the center is 0, 0. So what's it gonna look like? X squared plus y squared, good. The radius is 7, but don't forget it always equals radius squared. So will it equal 7 or will it equal 49? 49, yes, good. There's some where it gives you the equation, number 5. You have to figure out the center and the radius and then graph it. So let me show you how this graphing works. What would my center be on number 5? 0, 0. And my radius, remember it equals r squared. So r squared is 49. What would the radius be? 7. Okay, so when you graph, I don't know if I can do it on the smartboard. We're going to try. You're going to put a point at 0, 0. Oh, it worked. And then my radius was 7, right? So count over one direction, 7. I'll just go to the right and put a dot and see how it just automatically makes that circle. So that has a radius of 7. So I think you could go in any direction and just put another dot and it'll create that circle. So that's how that works. That is it. If you guys have questions, let me know. If you have other work you need to catch up on that. Monday, completing the square. Tuesday, review. Wednesday, test.